A Good Karma Brands radio station.
Now on SportsCenter all night, we recap the Jimmy V Classic on ESPN Radio.
Texas comes left to right, 3-on-2, lob to the bucket, and a slam at the rim for Dylan Mitchell on the fast break.
While we may not have seen the last of Jimmy G,
the report from the doctors today was much more optimistic and upbeat than the one that was sounded on Sunday night after the game when doctors thought he would be out 6 months.
Baker takes on Hollywood.
To me, this is a tryout. Are you a fit for us on the field? Can you be a fit for us in the locker room?
And we tell you why Odell to Big D is far from a done deal.
We've got to come in with our eyes wide open, and it has to be addressed. And that's when you see if you can make a deal or not.
This is SportsCenter all night.
Gosh, Al, he looks like a monster out there. He's like Superman out there. Patrick Mahomes. He can do stuff that I've never seen anybody do. He's like Spider-Man out there. And then there's Joe Burrow. And I keep saying he's like Batman because he doesn't have any superpowers. He just looks like a regular guy. And yet somehow he manages to be just as good as any of them.
Here's Jay Reynolds.
Batman, though, very resourceful belt. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. College hoops started the night with a dozen unbeaten teams. Can't stay unbeaten forever, though, can you? LeBron James, 20th all-time meeting against the Cavaliers. And let's just say he's not unbeaten against his former stomping ground. But we will start with the quarterbacks.
You always hurt for guys with injuries. And then obviously when it's the quarterback of your team, affects guys a little bit more.
I was actually impressed with Purdy in this game.
It was nice to see Brock Purdy do what he did yesterday.
Jimmy Garoppolo went down with a broken foot Sunday. The team said that's what it was, season-ending injury. And we had seen the last of Jimmy G. But to quote our buddy Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. ESPN insider Adam Schefter.
Doctors concluded today that Jimmy Garoppolo does not need foot surgery. It is not a Lisfranc injury, and he has the chance now to be back in 7 to 8 weeks, making it possible that if the 49ers go on an extended run, they potentially could get Jimmy Garoppolo back later this postseason if they're alive. Now, it's hard to imagine that because if they're alive in the postseason, that means that Brock Purdy must be playing pretty well, so they would be faced with a difficult decision. But there's a team that's already lost 2 quarterbacks to 2 significant injuries this year. First Trey Lance, now Jimmy Garoppolo. But the report from the doctors today was much more optimistic and upbeat than the one that was sounded on Sunday night after the game when doctors thought he would be out 6 months, when he would need surgery on the broken foot. The foot is broken, but it's possible now that he could be back in 7 to 8 weeks.
So if rehab goes smoothly and Jimmy G is within that 7 to 8 week recovery time, could potentially return during the postseason. Niners are currently 8-4, sitting atop the NFC West, a game in front of Seattle. ESPN analyst Marcus Spears.
I think just even the possibility that
Mm-hmm.
you'll get him back in the stretch run, right? So as players, obviously, when we get news like this, the rehab becomes crazy vigilant, right? If it was a Lisfranc, you kind of like, man, let me take my time. Let me process this and figure out. This puts Jimmy right back in the mindset, like, I'm going to be back on the field, maybe in critical moments, right? And then, too, like we've talked about this offense not being so quarterback dependent. So it's not like Jimmy G can't come back, insert, and he's going to be asked to carry the 49ers throughout a Super Bowl or even late in the playoffs. This is huge news, too, in this regard. Beyond this season, remember last year, Jimmy trade possibility was halted because of the shoulder, right? So now if he would have went into another offseason with the potential of going or landing a trade spot in a new deal, now you got a Lisfranc, you got another 6 months.
Niners have 5 games remaining in the regular season, home games against the Buccaneers, Commanders, and Cardinals. They're on the road for games against the Raiders and the Seahawks. If the Niners had been in the market for a quarterback to bring in and help fill the void, they won't be getting Baker Mayfield. He was released, of course, by Carolina Monday. there had been some discussion about whether the Niners should consider Baker Mayfield, but ultimately it's a moot point. But Mayfield does land in the NFC West. He's claimed by the Rams on waivers. Many had suggested that even if the Niners were interested, Mayfield wouldn't make it that far on waivers. And it is the 3-9 Rams who put in the claim. ESPN analyst Ryan Clark.
I think it makes a lot of sense, and it actually kind of piqued my interest. I didn't want to talk about Baker because Baker stinks. But now think about this. If you believe it takes a number 1 overall draft pick 20 years to prove that he can't play.
Yep.
You know Matthew Stafford is aging. He's a guy that's been banged up. You get Baker Mayfield in the building. To me, this is a tryout. Are you a fit for us on the field? Can you be a fit for us in the locker room? And now he goes into next year because he's going to be a backup, backing up a Matthew Stafford that now if you go and play, you have a number 1 overall talent sitting in your quarterback.
Rams have sent the playbook to Mayfield, but he's got a lot of all-night cramming to do. Rams host the Raiders tomorrow for Thursday Night Football, kicking off Week 14. SportsCenter All Night, ESPN Radio. Speaking of bringing in a player for the rest of the season, questions remain as to where Odell Beckham Jr. will land. He has visited the Bills, the Giants, and now the Cowboys. Many have considered Dallas the favorite, but ESPN's Ed Werder says, let's pump the brakes on that at the moment.
Cowboys medical staff performed a physical examination of Odell Beckham Jr.'s surgically repaired left ACL, and it's been determined that the free agent wide receiver unlikely to be available before mid-January, which is about when Dallas expects to be opening the playoffs. Furthermore, according to sources, there's even a projection that signing him might not produce a benefit until the 2023 season. And while Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said Sunday night that he was motivated to do something uncomfortable, such as signing Beckham even as he declined to work out for the team, he's also been adamant, as you heard, that the receiver has to be in a position to contribute significantly to the team this season. Beckham tore his left ACL for the second time February 13th while playing in the Super Bowl with the Rams. He had surgery on February 22nd. Whether the Cowboys continue their pursuit remains to be determined, but Beckham also visited the Giants and the Bills last week, and a source for the team other than the Cowboys told me that at the time their hope would be that Beckham would play at least the final 3 or 4 regular season games to be fully prepared for a Super Bowl run. That doesn't seem possible now, at least in the estimation of the Cowboys, and at least in the opinion of other sources. The Cowboys' next best option, create depth behind CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Noah Brown, might be with James Washington, whose 21-day practice window opened last week following his recovery from foot surgery after he was injured in training camp. But Kevin just received a text from Cowboys sources who say no determination has yet been made as to whether they'll make an offer to Odell Beckham Jr.
OBJ, torn left ACL sustained in the Super Bowl. Report is that Dallas hasn't seen enough progress to ensure that he can play. SportsCenter All Night, ESPN Radio, to college hoops. The number 2 team in the country was in the spotlight of New York City on Tuesday, Texas, playing in the Jimmy V Men's Classic against number 17 Illinois, and the Longhorns would extend their lead to double digits in the second half.
The foul yields no points, and it's still 54-46. To the right basket, Texas gets a great look, and Dylan Mitchell from the left block goes up with an easy layup to score over top of the defense. It's Texas by 10, 56-46.
Mike Cousins called it here on ESPN Radio. Longhorns up by double digits, but Illinois would chip back.
And now just 10 seconds on the shot clock. It's Hawkins, high left wing, driving into the lane, stops with the first marker, back to the basket, floats it across the court, Epps with a 3 near side. It's good! They get the 3 that they would have had 15 seconds ago, 68-66.
Illini battling their way back into it. Jaden Epps with the final 5 points of regulation. 3-pointer with 35 seconds to go. A couple of free throws with 8 seconds left to tie it. Then he blocks Marcus Carr's jumper in the lane just before the buzzer. Forces overtime, so they play an extra 5.
Timmy Allen, the 6'6" senior preseason all Big 12 team. Shannon pulls up 3, and it's good. 73-70 Illinois.
Illinois goes on to an 85-78 win in overtime, winning it by 7. Terrence Shannon Jr., 16 points, all of them coming in the second half and overtime. Texas led 68-63 with a minute left in the second half. They were outscored 22-10 the rest of the way. They suffered their first loss of the season. Texas now 6-1. ESPN analyst Dallin Cuff.
They're up 10 with 8 minutes to go, up 5 with 1 minute to go. And I will credit them. They capitulated again at the end there. And this was partially, though, because Illinois has been battle tested. Maryland, Virginia, they lost to. They did have a good win against UCLA. This is the first test for Texas in terms of a neutral venue of a quality opponent. And they collapsed a bit. And I credit Illinois being make the plays, make their free throws late, and defensively, when they were on the ropes and started getting stops, first half of that second half, Texas was living in the lane off the bounce. They started getting their gaps, make it tighter.
Really tightened up down the stretch.
Really tightened up and tested at the rim really well. Hawkins and Matt Meyer and did a great job. Meyer made a bunch of big shots over the course of this game. Credit Illinois more than Texas fell apart, but Texas will learn from this game.
Matthew Meyer, though, you mentioned the big-time shots. Best game he's had in a uniform so far for the Illini?
Oh, without a doubt. He's averaging 6 a game. He scored 21.
15 in the first half set the tone.
He didn't miss a shot. Literally in the first half, he was 6 for 6. He was in the zone. He was going Billy Hoyle. It looked like white man can't jump all over the place. He's making shots and making plays. That said, though, the defensive end is what changed this game. And also in overtime, they went and took the game. They went up 7-0 real quick to start the extra session. Texas was on their heels. Texas gave them a punch back. Illinois knocked them out. It was free. It was at late game execution. They look like a team that's been through it, and Texas had not.
See, the thing is, you guys look at me, you see the backwards hat, the gray socks, the funky outfit, and you say, now this guy's a chump, am I right?
Meyer, 21 points, 8 of 10 shooting, 5 for 5 from three-point range in the win for Illinois. The other game at the Jimmy V Classic, number 15, Duke, a 74-62 win over Iowa. Duke has appeared in the Jimmy V Classic 4 times. They've won 4 times, most wins of any program. Duke allowing 62 points. They hold Iowa to 62 points, and the Blue Devils get the win. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio from college to the NBA. LeBron James, for the 20th time in his career, matching up against the Cleveland Cavaliers as a visiting player. Lakers in Cleveland. And in the first quarter, LA becomes shorthanded as Anthony Davis leaves the game with flu-like symptoms. He did not return. Lakers shorthanded while Cleveland just turned to Donovan Mitchell.
Mitchell out front. Quick three. Bullseye! Oh, my! Donovan Mitchell stopped at the arc, let it fly. Nothing but net. Cavs by 5. 7:33 to go. Timeout. Lost at the other end with 7 on the clock. Mitchell against Reeves. Steps left. 3-ball. Good! Donovan Mitchell show. The Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse is a 10. 113-98. Timeout Lakers.
Carl's on WTAM as the Cavaliers go on to a 116-102 win over the Lakers. Donovan Mitchell, a 43-point game. Cavaliers get the win. They're 11-1 at home this season. 7 straight home wins for the Cavaliers, who outscore LA 31-19 in the fourth quarter. LeBron James, 21 points, 17 rebounds in the loss, his 7th double-double this season. LeBron, 20th meeting all-time against Cleveland. First time losing back-to-back games. He's 27-10 against his former teams. Mavs and Nuggets. This one came down to the wire late in the fourth.
Luka against Murray. Picks up the dribble. Bounce pass right to Hardaway. Back to Luka. Looking for Hardaway. Cutting. Doesn't see him. To his right now finds Finney-Smith. Back to Luka. Shot clock at 7. Luka double behind the back to Finney-Smith. Top of the arc. 3. Good! With 16.8 seconds to go.
97 won the Eagle. Dorian Finney-Smith with that three-pointer. With 17 to go, and Dallas rallies after squandering a late lead, beat the Nuggets 116-115. Nikola Jokic had a chance to tie the game with 12 seconds to go, but missed the first of 2 free throws. Mavs a 116-115 win. Tim Hardaway Jr., 29 points for Dallas in the win. He spoke with TNT.
Big night for Tim Hardaway Jr., season high for you, Tim, with 29, but also you're only the 10th player in NBA history to score 5 3-pointers in 5 straight games. What does that mean to you when you look at all the greats that have played this game?
It means a lot. It means the world. Just continue to work, continue to build my craft, and most importantly, just having trust in my teammates, knowing that they're going to find me when the ball is kicked out.
You mentioned that word trust before the game when we spoke. It's a two-way street, though, right? They've got to trust you, and you're trusting them with your movement without the ball. Tell us a little bit about how the offense flows despite the slow pace.
Well, it's reading the defense. I know, everybody knows Luka's going to attract 2 or 3 defenders out there. So we just got to do a great job as shooters on the perimeter to make it easier for him to get an outlet. So whether it's him pulling the 2 defenses out and stretching the defense and making an outlet for him at the top of the key, which was open for me a lot tonight. It worked out.
Okay, the offense is clicking when you all are hitting your jump shots. Defense might be the last piece of the puzzle. How do you get there?
Last piece of the puzzle, offensively, everything's going well right now, but most importantly, defensively, we just got to keep on locking down. I think we did a pretty good job dealing with the altitude second end of a back-to-back. So it's hard to take wins out here, so we're going to see how we can get them.
Tim Hardaway with 29, Luka Doncic 22 points, 12 assists, 10 rebounds, his 52nd career triple-double. Pistons, a 116-96 win over the Heat. The 20-point difference, Miami's second largest loss this season. The coaching move Tuesday that took guts. Guts isn't quite the word that's being used, though. You'll hear it next. SportsCenter All Night continues at ESPN Radio.
Coming up on Wednesday, is Terrell Owens really considering a comeback? The Hall of Fame receiver joins us to explain why he can still play in the league today. Keyshawn J. Willimax, Wednesday, 6 a.m. Eastern, ESPN Radio, ESPN2, ESPNU.
This is SportsCenter All Night.
Hi, Sarah. I'm sorry I'm late. The traffic is crazy.
Yeah, it is. And it doesn't help that gas prices have skyrocketed. I can't believe how much it costs for gas now.
Everyone's talking about how much gas is, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app, and I get cash back for every gallon of gas I buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid real cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yeah, real cash every time I buy gas.
What? That sounds like it could really add up.
I've made around $200 already.
Wow, that's serious extra money. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TANK99 for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TANK99 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus in your first tank. That's code TANK99 for 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
You can't miss a moment with Greeny.
Anyone who knows me knows that, particularly when it comes to my fandom of the Jets, my inclination is always to think the worst. I actually emerged from yesterday feeling good. And the reason is because I'm looking at it big picture. The Jets have built an outstanding young roster. The Jets' best season is definitely in front of them, not behind.